My name's Courtney Fricky. For those of you who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, I'd love to meet you, shake your hand, get to know who you are. I put these meetings on. We have 4 of these a month. They're not all here. So I'll tell you about those here in a second. But the idea here is this meetup, it's free, it's open to the public. The goal here is that a rising tide lifts all boats. A big part of that is our heart here is basically education and networking helps us be better investors or better providers within the industry, whatever your role in the industry is. Open to the public, we do have some sponsors. So I'll tell you about our main sponsors. So we have Florida Lee Law and Title. They are, I hate the word investor friendly. They're, I need to find a new word for that. So because investor friendly is like a worn out word that like no longer fully
Open-minded?
Open-minded. They're willing to figure it out and get creative. They're not an old dog that can't be taught new tricks. So I'm a creative real estate investor. So just about any way that you can buy a property, I feel like I have at least attempted to, if not successfully done so. So the idea here is I put them through the gambit. About 15 of their attorneys have my cell phone number because, anytime I have a closing, they try to train the new attorneys with me. This one guy, if any of you guys have closed out of their Lakeview office, Blake Guidry, one of their attorneys from Lakeview, his first day on the job, they're like, let's get Blake. Blake, come in here. You're gonna train on this file. This was January 7th of 2020, I think it was. I closed on a condo, but I go to the title company. We all get in a car. Myself, the older attorney, the newer attorney, and then another person. And then we go and drive to the St. Tammany Parish jail.
Hey!
And we do the closing through the clear glass. And the guy was like, so those are, we have fun with some of these, right? So at the end of the day, they like to figure things out. So they can handle assignments and double closes for wholesale deals. They can handle buying stuff subject to the existing loan. They can handle owner financing. I just added 5 rental properties to my portfolio in the last few weeks. 2 of them were subject to the other 2 were seller financing, and then I had one with a private money loan. And they were able to handle all of those types of transactions. So, with that being said, Florida Lee Law and Title, they can also do the civil stuff, so successions, LLC creation, whatnot. The other one we have is Pelican Realty. Wave your hand, there you go, thank you. They're property managers. I know you guys are cold, right?
Nope.
Yeah, you're not. Sorry, I see everyone, they're like, sorry. They put a lock on them, so I go and I drop them down because we're gonna get all the bodies in the room, but their lock is at like 86 degrees, and so I like drop it to take up for the lock. Anyway, so Pelican Realty, property management company on the South Shore. You guys, they're well experienced, great systems, investors themselves, which really helps. And then we've got Bob Norton, who's not here tonight. I keep being surprised that he's not going to walk through the door. Bob Norton is a staple at every meeting, but he is a real estate specific CPA, and there's a deadline coming up. So I'm sure his wife, because his wife tells me every time, I tell him to stop going to those meetings when we have deadlines, and then all of a sudden I see him walk through the door. So Bob is a real estate specific CPA and accountant. He's an investor himself. He's made a world of a difference in my deals, right? Because imagine trying to explain buying a property subject to the existing loan to a CPA who struggled to understand with what an assignment was. So stuff like that. So with that being said, those are our main sponsors. We also have some vendors, preferred vendors that their information's out there on the table. If you're interested, honestly, there's more than what's on that table, but I love that y'all take their cards. I just can never get cards from them once you take them. So I'm always like, send me an entire box. We've got hard money lenders, we've got DCSR, asset-based lenders, we've got property management, realtors, we've got insurance, I think all she has is coasters up there, so you might have to take that. But if you go to CourtneyTinK.com, that's a digital business card for me. So it's Courtney, COURTNEY, the number 10, the letter K.com. It's a digital business card for me. It has that list of all their information, whether they have a card out there or not. There's about 100 people who want to be on that list that I just always tell them, I said, you know, I joke, I'm like, I'm a lady, take me on a date first, who are you? It's the idea of, we want to do good business with good people, right? So at the end of the day, it's, hey, who are these are people we feel comfortable, you know, tying our name to and sharing them. It's people that we use for deals, right? So I use every single one of Pelican, Fleur de Lis, Bob, Norton. And I love when you guys say, hey, Courtney, who do you recommend this? That list has just been an avenue to say, here's people that I recommend, right? So with that being said, let me talk about the upcoming meetings that are coming. So again, we have 4 of these a month. This is the main meeting. Technically, we have 4 and I get a half. I don't know. The one that we're going to have after this one tonight. So in case you don't know, we have a meeting after a meeting. It's this meeting 2.0. Where we go to Chimes at 8:45. So for those of you who aren't familiar, the Chimes is like 5 red lights down this way. We go there for food or drinks, and it's at 8:45, and you guys are wild. Some of y'all close that place out every month, but it's where the networking just basically takes a more informal route. And so you guys are all welcome to join. I know it gets late. I know not everyone can do it. Some of you guys have long drives to make, but that meeting after the meeting has become a fan favorite because you're gonna have a minute to get to know everyone up here, but that meeting says, look, there's a guy who I've known for years who I sold like a deal to, and I had no idea he owned a hotel in the city. Oh. And I learned that at one of those meetings. I was like, when? What? Like I had no idea, right? Or, you know, certain things like that. So you guys are all welcome to come to that. We just ask that if you order anything to cover your tab, because what we just do is we just go there, and it's the second seminar, the one where we review what we learned here together, or say, hey, what do you do? What are you working on right now? Deals happen at those tables. It's a lot of fun. So that's tonight. Then we have this Friday at 10 a.m., our one meeting a month that is a Zoom call. That is our deal-making meeting. That's our exchanger. So if you're looking for deals, if you have deals, if you're looking for money, if you have money to lend, or anything else. I'm a big fan of the stuff component. I have 40,000 baseball cards that I would really like to find my way into a deal with them. So truly, exchanging, it's the art of there's more currencies rather than just money and promises, right? So maybe that will be my down payment on another house. I don't know. To the right person, it's a currency, right? But maybe you have a vehicle. Right? And sure, you could trade the vehicle for money, or I could trade those cards for money. Don't ask me how much, I have no idea. I haven't even touched, like I opened the box, I'm like, oh, they're there. And 40,000 is what I was told. I have not counted them. But it's a stack this tall in my house, right? So the reality here is that's our deal making meeting. We're gonna kind of do a small example of that here in a second. Then we have, I wrote it down, the 26th of this month. So at the end of the month, we have our Hammond meeting. So that one, every month we flip-flop between 2 styles. Last month we played cash flow, so we played a cash flow game, Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow. And then this month we will do the round table. So the round table mastermind is just a time to, we just go around and we talk and we say, hey, what is, you know, hey, what is working for you? What's not working? And we bounce off, and you have everyone from brand new people to people who've done 500 plus deals to people who've done 5, right? So it's a really good mix. So that's in Hammond on the 26th, and the 28th we have our Slidell one, which is a lunch and learn. So that's real estate investing 101, and this one is about building your team. Basically all year long we go through 12 topics in that lunch and learn. And this one is going to be about building your team, because real estate is a team sport. And I know a lot of people, they've struggled because someone on their team wasn't the right player, right? For example, I mentioned earlier I struggled until I found like a competent CPA, right? Or for example, how many of you guys have, well, you don't have to admit to this, I'll admit to this. I've had contractors that were not the right team member, right? And it's hurt the deal, you know what I mean? right? So we're going to talk about that. And so for all of these meetings, if you go to CourtneyTenK.com, the top left link is the upcoming meetings. If you click on that, it has all the details of the where, the when, the how, the what. But here's one that usually around the first of the month, I outline the meetings for the next month. So November 8th, we're going to do a panel. So for the next main Covington meeting, we're going to do a panel here. And it's going to be a lenders panel. And we're going to talk about various loan products, various types of ways to fund your next deal. And I also am asking them to come and talk about how the market is changing for lenders and how they're able to help their clients and things like that, because this market is rapidly changing. I know you're a lender, Damien, right? Would you say it's changing?
I thought it snuck in.
I know. Would you say it's changing?
Oh, it's changing a lot.
Yep, it's absolutely changing a lot. And so the reality here is I'm basically going to be asking this panel a ton of questions, and I'm stacking it with all different types of lenders. Your bank type of lender, your broker type of lender, your hard money lender. I'm going to have some people who do credit financing and private money lending type of situation. So my goal is to, that's my obligation, is to ask the right questions and to fill the panel with good options. But I know you guys have been asking for that a while, and then I know on top of that, this market is demanding it, right? Because that's very quickly killing deals, right? How many of you guys had deals that are falling through because of lending? Yeah, a few of you guys? Yeah. All right, so that's November 8th, and then in December, I don't have the date for it yet. I didn't look it up. We're going to do our Christmas party in here. We're going to play the cash flow game. So Rich Dad, Poor Dad's cash flow game, and it'll be a group this size. Our ones in Hammond's usually 20 people or less, but it gets very different when it's 50 people playing. Imagine playing a room of Monopoly, but better. So.
Do you have several tables?
Oh, it's going to be round tables, this entire room, and we're going to potluck it, stuff like that. So that's going to be our Christmas party type event, so no speaker, but that event, look, if you have not played that game yet, how many of you guys have played? I love it. Who here has really, some of you guys started playing when we started playing them here, right? Because a lot of people, like Bob Norton, he bought it, owned it for 3 years, but no one would play it with him. Yeah, that's y'all? Yeah. And then the very first time we play, he brings his, college-age daughter, and she's like, Dad, I now want to talk real estate for the first time. So a lot of fun stuff like that happened. So we're going to be playing that in December. All right, so I know that's a lot. We have a lot going on. So that Courtney 10K, honestly, it's a digital business card where I try to pit the top left corner is the upcoming meetings, top right corner is the YouTube channel. So tonight we're going to be recording this. We've been recording since 2018. We've got a lot of content in there for you guys to consume. Previous meetings you haven't been able to go to. And obviously if you want to come rewatch this or share it with someone, things like that. So that is a great asset for you guys. I love it. A lot of real estate professionals, insurance, lenders, realtors, title attorneys, they're like, I share your podcast all the time. I'm like, not really a podcast, but you know what, thank you. But it's the idea that they're like, oh, you had a teaching on bond for deeds. I share with my clients all the time. Or, whatever that looks like, right? All right, so let me start to wrap this up here. There are 3 important notices that you guys, news items, whatnot, that you guys need to know. I've been talking about this one, the carbon monoxide law that went into place. If you have, can you speak to it, Stephen?
Briefly.
Yeah, I was going to say, because property managers, so this is really important.
So the big thing is that on January 1, if you've got a single or a double, you're going to be required to have a CO detector in your unit, not just a smoke detector. If you're transferring a property, it's not just for rentals. So if you're transferring a property, they're saying that's part of it as well.
So realtors, you should be hearing about this. He's obviously a broker.
Yeah, it's a matter of time until it hits every unit. As a management company, we're mandating that our owners do it in every unit, whether it's a 3-plex, 4-plex, 10-unit, whatever. We're putting them into every property. That way, when it happens, it's already there. They expire 10 years from now, so it'll be fine for the next 10 years. But at some point, the state will likely expand that. I know they had that conversation during the legislation. The apartment lobbyists and everything came to town. They got it down to singles and doubles. So give it time, it'll expand, which isn't a bad thing. Now the drawback some people are complaining about is, I've got an all-electric house. They're looking at it from a standpoint of, if you bring a generator and you stick it by your window, everybody gets told every time a hurricane comes around, when you use a generator, don't stick it under covers, don't bring it in your house, don't stick it in an enclosed garage, but people still do it. That's the point of having that CO detector in the house.
Yeah.
Now,
What they're trying to do is to stop those unnecessary deaths. What's up, man?
Hey, can I ask a quick question? I haven't had a chance to go over that yet, but is it just one in a central location, or is it
No.
like smoke alarms where they need to be in every bedroom?
technically, there's not a real answer to that. The legislator who wrote it, I talked to her. She said call the fire marshal. Fire marshal refers to a book that's about 12,000 pages long. We had more conversations. We're recommending to our owners that there's going to be one per floor. Meaning if it's a two-story, single or double, they're going to have two of them. They are saying in a central location, which in my opinion isn't the same as it being in a smoke detector where it's in every bedroom, because if they put that generator by your window, run the cord through, there's an open window there, the fumes can still get in, which is the purpose of having the CO detector. But we're doing what they're requiring at minimum right now to see where it's going to go. I think in the future you'll find that all code requirements for new construction will also require.
Yeah.
It may already, I don't know, I don't do new construction, but at this point, we're doing one per floor in a hallway, which is kind of where the smoke detector started.
So I'm making it a habit to let you guys know about these things every meeting, because come January, if you're like me, I've got portfolios to start working through. That's not going to be something I can do overnight. I'm trying to start working through it, okay? If obviously you need to read up on it, you have to figure out what it requires. Right now it's 1 and 2 units, as if, you know, a triplex is immune to carbon monoxide, but that's just how they operate, right? But we're going to keep reminding you every meeting until January, and probably a little bit after that, just so that you can learn about it. Okay, second thing. If you haven't heard, I pulled out my phone to read it, not to be rude. The Louisiana Department of Insurance has approved Louisiana citizens' request for a 63% rate increase on its residential property insurance policies beginning January 1st. This just came out, well, I was gonna say today. So first of all, if you don't do this already, Louisiana Department of Insurance, the Louisiana government department has a newsletter. If you sign up for that, I think I got this yesterday before it got into the news today. So the rate increase will not affect citizens' current policyholders until they renew their policy after that date.
There's time for that.
So if you're like me, I just bought a multifamily in Orleans Parish. The only option you have, most insurance-wise, is citizens on multifamily. We just talked about that a second ago for y'all are buying.
Yep.
So the reality here is we're forced to have LA Citizens, the state insurance one that is like the bottom of the barrel, and it's already, I had a lady call me to come buy her duplex by UNO. She normally paid $2,800, I think it's $5,600 that LA Citizens is now. So here's what we're doing. Let me keep beating the drum. If you are a buy and hold investor, and look, let me be real, if you're a flipper, you also need to moonlight as a buy and hold investor, because with this changing market, if you can't keep this as a rental, you might be up a creek without a paddle, right?
Yeah.
Truly.
Yep.
I have a flip on the market right now that should have sold, and we're now 15 plus days on the market, probably more than that, huh, Shannon? Probably like 20. The first buyer backed out because they were afraid of the rate increase and stuff like that. There was nothing scary with the house, but they walked. It was a high demand, low days on market in the first place. So there's a level here. You need to be cognizant of that, okay? The reason why I want to bring this up is you need to be putting money aside for reserves or finding access to money for reserves. if you plan, because it's going to take, honestly, I sent this to some of my partners, and I sent it to my co-host. If you guys, for those of you who don't know, I have the privilege of being on WWL every weekend on the Home Improvement Show on Saturdays from 11 to 1. My co-host, Paul LaGrange, he's the building science expert, the contractor. I mean, I sent it to him because it's going to be a very real reality, right? Reserves. Like straight up, I looked at Bob and I sold a property earlier this year and I said, Bob, what do we need to do to keep Uncle Sam at bay so I can keep more of this, because I need this money in the bank to be able to handle the renewals. Because, and here's what insurance is telling us, prepare for 30 to 40% increases.
Okay.
They're saying 63% here.
Yep.
So like preparing for that is critical. Damien.
I would
Yep.
suggest Gulf states, if you can find an agent who offers Gulf states, I don't know that you can contact them.
Is that an underwriter?
Yeah, they're an insurance company. They service Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. They have all my rentals, but I'm in Tammany, so I don't know if they're gonna continue doing rentals or how much on multifamilies, but they do cover one of my duplexes.
Okay. So the duplex I just bought, I'm about to get into where I need therapy. You're going to get to see some vulnerability. I bought a duplex in the East a week and a half ago, and I know a lot of you guys are going to say I'm crazy. But the reality is when I bought that duplex, we needed 4 insurance policies to cover that adequately.
Jeez.
Hazard policy, LA citizens, does not include liability, so we had to get liability, does not include wind and hail, so we had to get a wind and hail policy, and then flood. Right? So just to cover a darn double, a double, right? So the reality here, guys, is I want to beat the drum because we can weather this storm and there's opportunities that are out there. You just need to be solvent enough, meaning cash in the bank or the access to it or whatever that looks like. Here's what I'm doing. I'm not bleeding dry my company and, like there's a level here that I want my company to be a little fat. It's not starved. That's basically what I'm talking about here with the reserves. Because Lord knows we're going to need a few years to recover from this. All right, so we have, man, I had a lot to like bad news bearer here. So I had the carbon monoxide. I mean, that's not really bad news, but it's like something to work towards. The LA citizens renewal, which is crazy. And then the last one, this is my first time talking to you guys, but maybe you've heard me talk about it elsewhere. If you follow me on social, I've been talking about this. Orleans Parish has introduced something called the Healthy Homes Program. Who here has heard of it? A few of you guys were with me. Was it last Thursday? Jeez, last Thursday we were at City Hall most of the day. Time's a construct these days. I was in City Hall all last Thursday in Orleans Parish. This proposal is a landlord rental registry where if you own properties in Orleans Parish, there's a few exemptions. You have to register. So there's a registration fee. You have to disclose your name, your phone number, your email, and a physical address, not a P.O. box, or the like a suite. You have a UPS suite, right? There's a registration cost. There is an initial inspection with an 11-point standard. And there is every 3-year inspection that follows that. There's also a yearly fee. Now it's $60 per door, and $60 to register, $60 per door. I think it's $175 for the inspection.
I think it's 150, but
And-
it's 150 every 3 years, but it can also be if the tenant makes a complaint,
They have to come out for
then you pay the
it.
additional expense for the
And then
inspection.
if they have to come back out, it's $200.
Correct.
So a lot of you guys know between running the association here, being on the radio, I was on the phone with the apartment owner associations out of the greater New Orleans area. We're basically joining together. Ultimately, we're not against there being healthy homes. There's already, though, an ordinance in place, and it's called code enforcement. And we pay that with our tax dollars. And so ultimately, they're just trying to find these bad faith slumlords that are in. There's 3 big ones. We all know who they are. And they are the major apartment complexes that they had to go ship people out of, right? Look, at the end of the day, this is number one, you may say, Courtney, I don't invest in Orleans. Yeah, but that precedent is not something we want to see. The second, because they're actually doing it in Baton Rouge and in Shreveport at the same time right now, they're introducing it. So it is something that's a very big ordeal where we're saying, hey, look, you are in essence through fees taxing the good landlords to go find the bads. And at the end of the day, I know it may sound small, but if you start adding up those costs when we're already, the insurance, all of that. So here's going to be my ask for you, and you guys know I don't ask you a lot. Number one, CourtneyTenK.com has both my email and my social media, but if you follow me on Facebook, I am going to be sharing some calls to action where we're literally going to be giving you all the council's phone numbers and emails and some talking points and asking you to email or call. Those apartment complexes have a lot of tenants. When we went to the council, it was more than, I mean, we were met with a ton of those renters. They were bussing in those renters from those apartment complexes. So they're definitely hearing a lot of people in favor of it. It is, as you know, with the city of New Orleans, like they're not good with like enforcement or budgets in the first place. So now they're trying to create a whole separate. So long story short, I'm meeting with the council members. We're trying to do some things on the back end, but we're going to need help contacting them. If you do not know about this, the first draft is a 19-page ordinance. I know that they're already working on like a red line version of like some edits. But I do know that those who are in favor, again, we're not against good homes. We'd rather give code enforcement more teeth to do their job that they're already, tasked to do. That was an ordinance back in the 50s, right? So please, I'm going to ask of you, if you're on CourtneyTenK.com, you've got my Facebook on there. Also, we have some Facebook groups, the Southeast Louisiana Real Estate Investors Group. I'm going to be posting in there once we have that finalized. Well, look, guys, we're going to get started here. So, as you guys know, our goal here, we're not pitching anything. We like to bring practitioners and professionals. So, we have professionals here tonight. So this is that what you guys feel like?
That's what she thinks. Hey, you got the gun. You are whatever you want.
That's a real good point there, Jamie. So guys, look. So I will say this: St. Tammany Parish. Who here has bought from the auction in St. Tammany Parish before, or attended it? I was gonna say, okay, a few. So we've got about 4 or 5, 6 people. Who here has bought from another parish in the area? A few people, or attended? Okay. Respectfully, you will be getting the gold standard tonight. I tried to explain it in the marketing, but the gold standard. So prepare your expectation level if you go look at other parishes. My point being is, so this is set up at the state level. So the foreclosure process is mandated at the state level. So some of you guys have heard me, I have done, so that Courtney 10K on our YouTube channel, I have done a training on the foreclosure process in Louisiana. I'm talking from missed payment all the way to the auction to REO and post-auction, okay? So a lot of you guys were here for that training that I did sometime last year or something like that. I've worked with people in all phases of the foreclosure auction. I've sent the property through foreclosure through their office. I get all their crazy cases. And then I bought REO, all the various ones, right? But what I want to do is I want to have them come and share. They are going to go through a presentation. So I'm going to ask you to hold your questions. Write them down. You will be able to ask them. But I want them to get through their presentation because they're going to be, they're probably going to answer it. Or they might, right? And then the second part of that, guys, is, again, this is something that mandated at the state level, but each parish kind of executed a little bit different. Like, they have a fancy website. Tangy, on the other hand, you got to go buy a, newspaper and whatnot. So one of the biggest things here, though, is I want you to take not only some, there's some technical aspects to it, but I also want you to understand where we're at in the market is this is a timely talk here because we have no idea what this market's going to bring. But ultimately here, understand that they are fantastic professionals. I kid you not when it's a higher level of service. that you're not gonna find elsewhere. I don't say that lightly, or just to build them up because they're here on their, after hours, right? And because she has a gun. So with that being, but that's the truth. So if ladies, so I'm asking you first of all to hold your questions till the end. But then the other thing here is you guys mind introducing yourself and then let you guys get going?
Yeah. So I'm Sergeant Lindsay Breton with the St. Tammany Parish Civil Division. This is Corporal Robin Bircher. We're the two supervisors on the administration level in the division. Our division comprises both administration deputies and civil process servers, which are gun toters. I'm a gun toter, but I'm primarily administration. So I will be in the office. I do run the sheriff's sales with Robin. So we're going to be your points of contact for anything foreclosure related. Okay, so the first slide we got is our contact information. Sheriff's office is very military structured. We have a chain of command. Okay, so this is basically the chain of command for the civil division in our emails. You will see I am like mid-level. I'm not quite high enough on the totem pole yet. Those top two people, they're my bosses. Okay, if you have any questions or concerns or something that arose at today's event or any time that I'm handling that needs to be addressed with my supervisor, go ahead and utilize these email addresses, okay? Otherwise, if it's general questions about things that are going for sale, foreclosure, auction questions in general, you're gonna hit up Robin and myself, okay? The captain and the major, they know we have sales going, but they're not gonna know the particulars, okay? All right. So the civil department, we handle a variety of things. About 25% of our work is going to be foreclosure related. The other 75% are going to be processing court documents, so all the subpoenas that get issued. If you're being sued for anything, one of us is going to knock on your door sometimes early in the morning, and I'm really sorry about that. But we handle garnishments, protective violence, protective orders, domestic violence protective orders, emergency ex parte custody orders, civil process service, and the seizure and sale of property. So we're going to talk about foreclosures today. I put our numbers for the last year and then up through September of this year. These numbers are really low in comparison to when I first started. I first started at the sheriff's office in 2014, and it's really sickening, but we set like 600 and something, or 800 and something sales in 2016. And only sold like, I think 400 or 500 sales. But as you can see, those numbers have drastically dropped. COVID hit us hard, okay? The feds came in, put some moratoriums in place to protect people with their properties. And since then, we're still seeing that people are getting assistance at the federal level. HUD is offering partial claim loans to catch people up if they did deferments or anything like that. So our numbers are substantially lower. We're setting a little bit more, but we're not getting them to sale. So people are doing the partial claim loans, they're filing bankruptcy, they're doing loan modifications, all that kind of stuff to try to save their homes. I would say I'm hoping, but I'm not really hoping because that's terrible for the homeowner, but we should be seeing an influx of those numbers as people are hit with insurance prices rising, taxes, all this stuff. I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to find themselves in foreclosure when they can't afford their mortgage anymore due to those issues that we're discussed.
Very technically is, so say someone's PITI was, $2,000 a month, but let's say it jumps up to $2,400 because of insurance
Yes.
going up. Very real reality.
Yes.
If they're still making the $2,000 a month payments, would that still be in default?
Well, I mean, if they're not making their full payment, that bank,
Partial.
yes.
So when I spoke on the foreclosure process 2 weeks ago at a brokerage for about 40 agents, I had an attorney with me who said, to that question, absolutely, Angel was there, absolutely that partial payment, they're in default to the loan. That absolutely is something we could see happening.
Yep.
Specific to our area versus national, if that makes sense.
Yes. That LA Citizen stuff, flood insurance, all of that is going to greatly affect people staying in their homes. So we might see those numbers increase when January 1 comes and all those policies start renewing. All right, so our auctions are held on Wednesdays. That is by state law at 10 a.m. because working people, I guess, have to take off in order to come buy a house. But they're held at the Justice Center. If for some reason we have to change our location, our website, which I will show you, will update immediately to show you the change. For COVID, we were forced out of the courtroom and out of the Justice Center altogether, and we actually sold houses at the horse arena at the St. Tammany Parish Fairgrounds.
It was entertaining.
It was entertaining. We actually had Orleans Parish Sheriff come and witness a sale there, and they're like, this is so impressive. I'm like, we're in a horse arena, but okay. So I liked it. It was interesting. Security was lacking because, it's not a actual building and there's no metal detectors like you'll get here. But we are back in the courthouse. We're typically in the misdemeanor courtroom, which is on the ground floor. We do have signs that kind of point you in the right direction, but if you can ask any bailiff and they'll tell you where we're at. We do start promptly at 10 a.m. That is also state law. But we do open the doors about 9:15 to start doing question and answers. If you want to look at any of our files, we'll do that as well. All right. Our website, which we'll go over later, has a list of all the properties that we sell, and our website's really cool. It updates real time. We'll go through that.
It's impressive.
Website. All right, so stpso.com is the main site. That blue little box, how do I, that's where you're going to want to go. Civil is your next step, because the civil department is the one that does the foreclosures, okay? Once you're on the civil department site, there's two sections that you're going to want to familiarize yourself with. You have view sale information and then the frequently asked questions at the bottom. That frequently asked question is going to be a lot of the information that we cover here tonight. Okay, it's going to talk about real estate and movable sales because we do seize both and sell both. A ton of information. And a lot of it I don't expect you to retain tonight, so it's going to be found there, or you can just give us a call and I'll be happy to talk you through it again. I want y'all as comfortable as possible with this process, because you are spending money and I want you to be comfortable, okay? A lot of parishes, we're customer service oriented here. All of my girls in my office are cross-trained to answer. If you have a question that's like completely off the wall and they don't know how to answer, they will transfer to Robin or myself to handle that. But you should and will receive the best customer service from my office, okay? If not, use the email address and I'll handle it. All right? So once you view sale information, that top arrow right there, that subscribe button, y'all are going to want to do that if you're interested in our sale. Every Friday, we blast out an email of our next sale. It's going to give you everything that we have going. That way you don't even have to go look for it. We email it to you on Friday. Okay? There's 3 boxes here that you're going to use to filter if you want. Sale category is going to be real estate or movable. If you want to look at all, you can look at all. That's fine too. Sales statuses, we define them for you at the bottom of this slide. Our biggest question that we get, and the biggest mistake people make, are that they show up at our sale expecting a property to go to sale when it said tentative. Tentative means that it's possibly going to sell. That's the earliest that I could set that sale, but it's not an active sale unless it says active. So don't drive across the lake or come from a different state for a property that says tentative. I don't have that sale going that day. Okay, active is what you're going to want to look for if you're looking for properties that I'm actually selling that day. Our website updates real time. So as soon as I get a bankruptcy filing, as soon as an attorney tells me, hey, they did a loan modification, put it on hold, I hit a button in my system and poof, it appears on my website, it's big red cancel. Okay, and they can cancel up until the time of sale. So you can make that drive across the causeway and you can get to my sale, come in for a particular property, and we can be up there for 10 minutes and the property will cancel. I don't control that. Bankruptcy laws will trump us any day. We have to pull that file if there's a bankruptcy filing or if the attorney tells me to. Okay? This is what it looks like once you pick a sale date. So this is our sale date for tomorrow. Well, what it was last week when I updated the slideshow. But it will show you the properties we have listed. Every property should have a picture. Even if the picture is just a gate because we can't access said property, or I've had a condo where it's just like the door. But we should have a picture of some sort on the website. You can click on it and it will blow it up and it will look all nice. There's actually a Google Map link that you can click on there. If you actually select a property that you're interested in, this little box to the left appears. This is gonna be all your information on our file. It's gonna be the bank name, the defendant name, which should be the current homeowner, property address, a link to the Google Maps. It will tell you the writ amount. The writ amount for a property is the principal amount of the loan at default. This is what the bank is owed at minimum. Okay, the bank is actually owed interest, court costs, attorney fees, sheriff fees. If they had to go cut the grass or secure the property, that's going to be included. If they had to do a mortgage place insurance policy, that's going to be included.
If the forbearance happened from the
If
moment.
forbearance happened, anything extra is going to be added to that writ amount. So don't get hung up on that writ amount because that is the principal amount of the loan at the default. Okay? If it's with appraisal, our appraisals will also be on there. Our appraisals are ordered very last minute because we don't like to incur costs to the bank unnecessarily. So we try to give them as much time to cancel as possible. We typically order them the week before the sale. If a referee is required, which we'll get to that, that comes in the Monday before the sale. So if you're looking specifically for that information, it might not be available until the Monday before sale. We do keep appraisals on hand for 1 calendar year, and then we will reorder them.
Our
Okay.
appraisals are drive-by.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that.
Okay, drive-by.
Yep. I have a slide for that. All right, so mortgage certificate, so back to slide. At the very bottom of this page, there's a little icon. You probably can't see it in the back. But at the very bottom, it says mortgage certificate and a little notepad or page icon. If you click that, you're gonna actually see our mortgage certificate. Next slide. A mortgage certificate is all of the active liens that are against the current homeowner in the mortgage records, okay? It is not enough for the sheriff to guarantee clear title. When you're buying a property privately, their title company's gonna do like a 30-year, 5-link search. They're gonna look at conveyance records, mortgage records. I mean, they're looking at everything. We are strictly looking at the mortgage certificate, okay? We're not title attorneys. I'm a notary, not a title attorney. I cannot give a title opinion as a notary. My boss, Major Hudson, is an attorney, but not a real estate attorney. She's in civil litigation. But we do try our best to review those mortgage certificates and let you know if there's anything that causes a red flag. Okay? So you can print the mortgage certificate online. You can come to our office and request a copy. We do offer that. But to drive down to Covington when you can just print it online, you know, is easy. So we don't guarantee clear title. We will announce at our sale if there is something outstanding. So we will say the words, this property is being sold subject to any and all prior liens. We repeat it, and if I'm reading, I try to make eye contact with people so they know we are selling the subject to. And inevitably, there's always somebody that buys it. And then once my assistants after, and I can't always guarantee that I can help you because sometimes they won't even talk to me and I'm the sheriff. So, subject to means there's something outstanding that you would be responsible for as a buyer on top of your purchase price. It could be something chronologically. So if we're foreclosing on the second mortgage, that first mortgage would be chronologically ahead of that second mortgage. So that's something that you would want to research prior to know what's the standing of that mortgage, what's the balance, am I okay with paying that off to get clear title, all that kind of stuff. There's superior liens. These are called vendor liens. And then code enforcement judgments. These liens and judgments have priority, even if they fall after the foreclosing creditor. So it's something that you're going to want to research. You're going to call our office. A grass cutting lien from the city of Slidell could cost you $250. And you can say, cool, I'm cool with that. I'll still buy this property, no problem. But if it's a prior mortgage, y'all, please do your research. And they're not going to want to talk to me. The chances of them talking to you are going to be slim too, because you're not on the loan. You're not an attorney, so you might even have to get like a title company involved if you're researching that. But we will post that. Go back to the other slide. There's a web comment section. Where would that appear? Like down at the bottom. There's a web
Comments is right under description.
I can't see. It's like fuzzy. Oh, okay, right here. We would put on there that we're selling the property subject to. So if you see that, call my office and say, hey, what is it? Is it code enforcement lien? Is it prior mortgage? What is it? And we'll tell you, to the best of our knowledge, what we have. Okay? Don't wait till the morning of the sale and say, well, is this property subject to? Well, yes. Can you help me? No. I'd love to help you, but I can't. There's nothing I can do for you right now. All right. So the St. Tammany Parish Clerk of Court will run the mortgage certificate through the notice of seizure, so through the sheriff's office seizing the property and no further. That's not saying they don't have other judgments. I mean, if you're in foreclosure, typically you're not paying your credit card or you have some type of payday loan or something that somebody's got a judgment. It's very rare, but sometimes there are judgments that take place after the seizure. Your title company is going to want you to cancel those, and that's fine. You may have to just file a request to cancel with the clerk of court, because anything that happens after the seizure should not attach to the property. But it does cost you a cancellation fee. I think that's $120 or something now, but that's with the clerk of court, okay? All right, so in St. Tammany or in Louisiana in general, the sheriff's office only constructively seizes real estate property. If it's a movable property like a vehicle, we go pick it up and we actually seize it. But real estate, you own your home until the moment I sell it. So it's a constructive seizure, it's a paper seizure, right? I don't have access to the property. I don't have keys to the property. I had somebody buy a house, they're like, when are we getting the keys? I'm like, I don't know. Good luck finding them. The condition of the property is not guaranteed or known. Somebody called one time, they're like, is it a 3-bedroom? And we're looking at granite. I'm like, I don't know what's that. I don't have access to the homes. I wish I did. Sometimes you get lucky and there's an MLS listing or somebody's trying to sell these properties before we get it to sale. Go check it out. I implore you, go look and do your research, and if you can get into that property, knock your socks off, because I do not know anything about the inside of that home. Okay? The occupants of the property have the right to occupy the property until an eviction is completed. Okay? So even though you bought from my sale, as soon as the gavel hits, you own it, you cannot go strong-arm somebody out of the house without doing paperwork. Okay, I try to encourage our investors and our buyers to go work it out amicably with the occupants. I can't give you legal advice, but hey, let's get a U-Haul. I'll pay for the U-Haul. Cannot give you legal advice, which that should be on repeat in my office, by the way, too, that no one can give you legal advice. But don't put that in your name. You can pay for it, just don't put the U-Haul or the storage facility or whatever you're buying in your name for these people.
Amen.
Not legal advice. All right. So, work it out amicably. If you get to that eviction, which we'll talk about too, it can get costly and timely, okay? Taxes. We're not a private sale. So when you go to a private sale and you sit down in a closing, they prorate taxes, right?
Yep.
You've owned it for this many days of the year, and then you're going to own it for this many days. And there is no way I'm going after people in foreclosure for taxes, okay? They're not going to pay them, nor do they have the money for it. Their mortgage company is not. Sometimes if you look out and you buy a house in December, that mortgage company has already paid it. But sometimes you don't. You are responsible for the taxes for the current tax year and moving forward, however long you own the property. You can buy a property from me in December and you're going to be responsible for that entire year because we pay taxes in arrears. So our 2022 tax bill doesn't come out until December. It's due December 31st. Okay? You'll be responsible for that tax bill if it does not get paid. So don't come to my office in February and tell me I owe you 1% interest on these taxes because it's even on your receipt when you leave my office that you are responsible for taxes, okay? We check prior 3 years. So our tax department is pretty good. If there's a tax sale or something that's outstanding further than that, they'll let us know. And then we'll announce it at our sale. It's not something that we would sell subject to, but we'll definitely announce, hey, there's a tax sale, it's going to cloud your title. Like, you know, but we will add anything that's delinquent in status, we add that to the cost, so you'll never see that. We collect it as part of your cost, and we pay the taxes that are delinquent for you, and it clears everything up. Okay? But anything that's not delinquent in status, so the 2022 taxes that are coming up, I can't collect for until January 1. All right? We try our best to update the assessor, part of your paperwork that you fill out with us when you buy a house. One of those sheets goes to the assessor to tell the assessor, hey, we sold this house, this is the new person. Please send the bill to them. I can't guarantee that you're going to get that bill. We do all this and we try, and we even print them sales lists and all this stuff. I can't guarantee it. So if you have not received your bill by mid-December for something you bought, even if you bought it in January, please follow up and get that tax bill, okay? Because my office cannot guarantee that you get it. All right, also while we're talking about property taxes, I did have a couple of questions before the presentation asking me if we're a property tax sale. That is a totally different department, totally different sale. At our auction, you're getting full ownership the moment of adjudication. At the property tax sale, you're buying like a tax ownership interest, okay?
It's a tax
More like an investment. Then you have to wait it out, you have to do the 3-year redemption period, and you have to quiet title and all that to get ownership.
That's
Way
a different mindset. We'll bring
Yeah.
another speaker for
That's
that.
a whole nother speaker, but that, I did get that question. That is not my department. That's the basic knowledge I have of it. But our sale, we do deal with property taxes, just the collection of. All right. Appraisals. So it is up to the bank whether or not they're gonna sell a property with or without appraisal. The court orders us to seize and sell a property a certain way, so it's not up to us. Our appraisals are drive-by appraisals. We don't have access to the home. I don't expect my appraisers, they're not gun toters, to get out and like start looking at windows and everything. St. Tammany's a very conservative parish, lots of gun owners. For safety purposes, our appraisers, they got a nifty little badge and stuff from our office, but let's be real, that's not gonna save them, okay? So they drive by, they try to do their best. They look at comps, they will give us a picture of the house so we know that they are actively going out to the right house to make their appraisal, but I wouldn't put too much weight in our appraisals, okay? The appraisal will dictate the opening bid. We open the bid at 2/3 of the appraised amount. Anything that is sold without appraisal, we open the bid at cost. So the cost can be anywhere from $500 to, I've seen costs at $55,000. It just depends on what we're collecting for. Both the plaintiff and the defendant have a right to appoint an appraiser. Typically, neither one do. So the sheriff appoints one on their behalf. So we order 2. If they have greater than a 10% variance, I have to, by law, send out a 3rd referee appraisal. Whatever that 3rd referee appraisal comes back at, that's the appraised amount. So I can have a $300,000, a $200,000, and then my referee says 50. I have to go with 50. Okay? So it really just, and I'd love to say there's a rhyme or reason. I'm sure there's some calculation that they do in some program and whatever. I have not figured it out yet.
You can always just pull the government card where there doesn't have to be reason.
Yeah, so I've been here a little over 8 years and I haven't figured it out. All right, so evictions. So that's a glorious picture. And it has happened. We've had one worse. We've drug out a coffin at a house once. So we don't guarantee. No, he was a grave digger by trade. And I guess picked one up at work one day and stored it, I guess, until he died. I mean, that saves your family a lot of money, I guess.
Was it secondhand?
Look, I have that was in a neighborhood with an active HOA, and I will apologize to anybody that is part of an HOA, but y'all are not a fan of me. But, and that you're not, because I'm going to tell you I'm so sorry, but your lien is not superior, and I don't collect for you. But the HOA had a fit, in which, if it gets to this point, you end up having a detailed officer out there, okay? So what happens is we have our sale. You can hit the arrow because it highlights, but I don't think you'll be able to see it on this. Anyway, all right, so what happens is we have our sale. You have 30 days on most properties to pay me in full. We require 10% the day of the sale. The balance has to be certified funds in 30 days. I do have about maybe 5% of our properties are 100% at adjudication, but it's rare. The longer you take to pay me, the longer it takes to get your sheriff's deed. Because you're not going to get a deed until I'm paid in full. You cannot file for an eviction until you have a deed. So you just bought your occupants an extra 30 days if you take the full 30 days. They get to live for free because you cannot force them out. So once you get your deed, you can file for an eviction. You can do that in the 22nd JDC, which is the courthouse in Covington, or you can utilize your justice of the peace. Your justice of the peace is not always going to be comfortable doing a forceful lockout. If you're doing something in the city court of East St. Tammany or previously the city court of Slidell, they'll do it. They have a constable, they're going to forcefully lock people out, no problem. Ann Thompson in Mandeville, I've worked with her before, I know she knows how to do it. I have not personally worked with, and I cannot vouch for all justice of the peace. So before you do an eviction, they're going to be faster and they're going to be cheaper. But you're going to want to make sure they can do that forceful eviction, because when push comes to shove and you're calling the sheriff, I'm out here doing an eviction, justice of the peace won't do it. Well, we can't do it either. It's not my paperwork. You have to start the process all over. Okay? So you're going to want to sit down with that justice of the peace and make sure that they have a plan in action, because when push comes to shove and you got an occupant that refuses to leave, we can give them a ride to jail. The justice of the peace may not do so, okay? All of this happens with a writ of possession. Writ of possession gets issued through the 22nd JDC. It comes to my office. We will then post a 5-day eviction notice. They have 5 business days, excluding weekends and legal holidays, to get out. If they're still not out within that 5 days, you can call my office back. We'll schedule a lockout. We'll have a supervisor go out. They'll tell you, hey, look, that's a lot of stuff, and you're going to pay us a detail rate, but we're not moving. So you're going to say, we need maybe a 3-man crew. You got good friends? Great. If not, you're going to hire somebody. Anything worth value, which the homeowner is going to argue a paperclip has value, has to be moved to the parish servitude, as you see in this picture, okay? You start at the curb, and you work your way back. We had an eviction that took 5 days, okay? They were hoarders, and our detail rate is $38 an hour, okay? And it required the detail because the HOA president was out there, like, threatening people. So, it can get costly, okay? So, most of them don't look like that, but it can, okay? All right, so miscellaneous and reminders. Properties are sold as is. The sheriff's office does not guarantee clear title, and we cannot give legal advice, okay? None of us are attorneys. You have the right to review our file. We recommend making an appointment with our office. Robin has business cards. She's fabulous. I forgot mine. So sorry. But I can write my number on the back. But you can make an appointment even if you don't have a particular property that you're interested in and you just have general foreclosure questions. Come in. We want y'all to have the answers. We want y'all to feel comfortable. Come in, utilize us, get everything that you can. We're happy to do that for you, okay?
Just not the week of the
Yes,
sale.
not the week of the sale. So this is a sale week, and I apologize because I did tell a lady today who called, she's like, I have questions. I was like, I really can't do questions today, I'm sorry. So even if you're trying to call last minute, the whole office staff is trained to say, we're so sorry, this is a sale week, call us on Thursday, okay? Because trying to get to sale is extremely busy, okay? We're dealing with vendors, we have paperwork, we have this, we have that, it's just a lot, okay? Sales are final at the moment of adjudication. I have a lady that comes to our sale, she hates me because she is my example. She bought a property, and then she rode by the property, which I don't know why you wouldn't ride by first, but anyway, she's like, oh, I can't do this, I don't want this property, what can I do? And I was like, huh, it's not up to me. So I had to go to the attorney. The attorney is still holding her $15,000 deposit. They used her $15,000 deposit to get it back to sale, so all the advertising costs, any service fees that we encountered, increase in court costs and stuff like that, she's gonna have to eat. If the property sells for a lesser value than what she bought it for, she's on the hook civilly for that difference. So they can now obtain a judgment against her and go after her wages and her house and her, you know. The attorney hasn't done that yet, but we have been holding those funds since
For a while.
March, and they're just.
We've already sold the house.
We've sold the
again.
house again, and the attorney's just like, no, we're gonna figure it out, and that's not my timeline. We also had a lady, she's never been back, so she can't get mad at me for making her example. She bought a red Mercedes, and she thought she bought a house. Bless her heart, and she wasn't even spending her money, it was a client's money. She
even
left
worse.
with red Mercedes, because our sale is final.
She was on her phone.
Yeah, so
My
now we
bidding
don't
was
even, if
gone
you're on
up.
your phone, we ignore you. You don't exist to us at our sale if you're on your phone because of that lady. And we have a slideshow at our sale with a picture of what you're buying.
And you read it out.
And we read it with the mileage and the VIN number, and she bought that sucker. She thought she got the best real estate deal.
Was she a real estate agent?
She was. She was a real estate agent, and she was on
What
the phone
was
with
might
her
be
clients.
the specific word right there?
Yes, so she was on the phone with her client, bidding, spending his money, and walked away with a red Mercedes.
Oh.
So, we try our best. You'll even see me. When people start bidding, and I think it's kind of confusing, like, are we sure we're on that? I will look at our slideshow, and then I look back, I look again, and if I'm doing kind of weird stuff, y'all would be like, oh, I wonder if I'm bidding on the right thing. 'Cause I'm like, I have no poker face, y'all. If I'm at that sale, y'all will see. I've busted out in fits of giggle.
I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, you'll see all of us. We're like, what is happening here? So all of our sales are final. We don't make you pre-register for our sales because you, as the buyer, are liable for any funds owed to the sheriff's office. We don't let you leave. So if you bid at our sale, please have your driver's license, please have your checkbook. If you have cash, don't announce that. It's a safety hazard to you as a person.
don't bring it into Walmart.
Yeah.
bag.
Literally, we had one guy come in with a briefcase and left it in the seat and was like, I forgot my 200,000. Please don't do that, okay? Like I wouldn't travel with that kind of money anyway, but hey, to each his own. We do accept cash as a payment. Just don't announce it at the sale that you have it. All right, so your 10% that is owed at the day of adjudication or 100%, we take the local check. If it's a 100% sale, you get 2 hours, because you bank locally, to go to your bank and get a cashier's check and we'll exchange checks. If it's a 10% sale, we'll take the local check for the 10% and that's it. I'm not trying to offend anybody because I got yelled at one time. If you bounce your check at any time, I give you 24 hours. That's 24 consecutive hours, not 24 business hours, to come and rectify that with my office with a cashier's check. If for some reason you do not come to my office with your certified funds, I write a letter to the DA and refer you for issuing a worthless check to a governmental agency. It is a felony. I had somebody, I explained this to him, then stop his check, and then come to my office, bat his eyes and ask me, is it a big felony or a little felony? It is a felony. I don't measure them, but some people apparently do. It's a felony. So I don't suggest doing that, okay? I don't like writing the letter and presenting my evidence and all that to the DA. It's a lot of extra work. And I'm a people person, and I really try to give y'all the benefit of the doubt. If you're financing your purchase, you're definitely going to have a lender that is keen on foreclosures, okay? You might not have access to this home to do the inspection and appraisal that they want, okay? I know a lot of our investors, they'll do HELOCs on an existing house in order to finance this, and give me your lender, they're going to know how to do that, but 30 days is 30 days. I can't give you an extension if they took that power away, because if I had it, I'd be like, Oprah, you get an extension, you get an extension. It can't happen that way. Apparently, that's not good business for the bank. So I have to go to the attorney and get permission to give an extension. I've seen attorneys say, absolutely not, 30 days is 30 days. I've seen attorneys most of the time say, okay, 2 weeks, whatever. But again, I can't guarantee that. So make sure your 30 days is 30 days. Because if 30 days come and the attorney say, nope, I have to resell it, you forfeit your 10%, you could be liable. All right? So make sure if you're lending, if you're financing this, it's 30 days. All right, so we don't have closings like we discussed when I talked about property tax. We don't prorate taxes. Realtors, y'all don't like me either. I don't collect your 3% or whatever it is you're trying to collect. We don't do it. So if you have a client that is looking to buy at our sheriff's sale, you might want to have a contract or something with them personally, because you're not going to get your fee if you help them buy a house through me. I'm not going to collect for it. So I don't know how you would go about doing that. That's something that you might want to research and discuss, but don't come to me and be like, where's my check? I don't know. HOA fees, same thing. If there's an HOA lien on the property, I can tell you, hey, this is subject to an HOA. Not subject to meaning it's a subject to title cloud, because we'll partially release the lien. But it's more of a heads up. Hey, this HOA, and I'm sorry if any of you are HOA people, but they're like freaking vultures, okay? They're going to come after you, and they're going to want every dime that they are owed from the dawn of time, okay? You are only responsible from date of sale moving forward, okay? It's not like a private sale where the title company calls them and gets a payoff and they collect. We don't do that. I'm so sorry, y'all hate me. But, and I tell these people all the time, I cannot collect for you, I'm so sorry. If you go to the legislator and get your little superior status like code enforcement did, then I can help you. But until then, I cannot collect. All right, so I think that's about it.
So you've got about 20 minutes.
Yep, if y'all have questions, hit me. Robin and I can, yes.
I have a question. So with the HOA stuff, if I'll only owe HOA dues from the time that I purchased the property, if there's liens on that property, who's responsible for removing those liens? Does
So-
the HOA have to cancel all that?
Pull up our website.
Is it on the website?
Nope. So anything that's filed after the mortgage that's being foreclosed on, so whether that's a credit card judgment, a second mortgage, an HOA lien, anything like that, the sheriff's office, after our sale is said and done, go to our sales list. After the sheriff's sale is done, I prepare a cancellation order to the clerk of court. I'm gonna cancel that foreclosing mortgage because they're satisfied with the sale. I'm gonna cancel my notice of seizure, and then I'm gonna partially release any inferior lien. So that HOA lien, as long as it's inferior in status, I'm gonna cancel it as far as the property is concerned. So it follows the person, and they can still collect on that person, but it's not gonna attach to your property. I'm releasing it. All right. You can still see the slides. Where is it now? Mine is this slide here.
So I'm gonna make a few things here, guys. If you're a licensed agent, she mentioned you don't have any broker protection here. Anytime when I do a training on the foreclosure process in the state of Louisiana for brokerages, this is a thing that I bring up a lot is a lot of clients are saying, hey, I see this going, to the foreclosure auction. Hey, can you come help me buy this house? One of the biggest things, agents, you need to figure out what that looks like because you are not protected. They do not pay out your commission. There's none of that. And so one of the biggest things there is a lot of times with agents, I say, be careful because there's probably a lot of liability on that woman who went and bid on behalf of her client at that auction. Would you guys agree?
Yes.
Especially if she bought a Mercedes instead of a house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so this is our mortgage certificate. These are available online. On all of them, you're going to see the legal description to the property. And then when you get to that accept portion, that's going to be all of the liens that are on the property, okay? This one is fairly straightforward. You have your mortgage that's being foreclosed on is number 1. Number 2 is the assignment that's attached to that mortgage, just saying the mortgage changed hands at some point. And then the notice of seizure, which is us, the sheriff's office, seizing that property. So there's nothing here that would be outstanding after the sale. I'm going to cancel everything with the sales. Okay?
I was saying, let me give you an option. Use our
So,
phone. Any one of those.
So this one is actually being sold subject to, this is going to sale tomorrow. You will not see the analyzed version of the mortgage certificate online. In our office, we put C's next to things and P next to things for things that we're fully canceling and things that we're partially releasing. We don't put that on the sheriff's office page due to liability reasons. But if you call our office, wait, what are you doing?
It's the map.
That's the map. All right, so you see where it says, go scroll down. It's hard without a mouse. All right, you see the comment, subject to number 1.
So we're gonna show you.
So we're going to scroll down to the mortgage certificate and we're going to show you what that reference is. All right, so you would think looking at this, oh, number 1's foreclosing, but they're not. Number 1 is actually prescribed probably, if I had to guess, from 1985. Because it's
the one I think we're trying to.
yeah. So, scroll down. So we can't ignore a mortgage even though it's old and probably prescribed.
Because
meaning
they
it
also
falls
can't
off.
give legal advice or give you an
Right.
abstract.
So, but number 3 is the mortgage that we are actively foreclosing on, okay? The assignment, the notice of seizure, all that we'll take care of. But that number 1 mortgage, I don't know anything about it. I don't know the status of it. I do know what the attorney has told us in this file, which we would provide to you, like, hey, what's going on with that? I can tell you this attorney is actively trying to cancel that mortgage by prescription. I can't guarantee that that's going to happen, though.
Yeah.
So I have to sell it subject to.
So this is really important because for the lender, like obviously if it's being sold subject to, it's scary, right? You don't know a lot of information. It's a lot of buyer beware. The president of Habitat called me one day and said, hey, Courtney, we have a property that we're taking back. It's an area that we're not trying to take back the property and resell it or anything like that. But it's being sold subject to. and we have a long, like, we believe it's not gonna sell well. And so I went and looked at it, I kid you not, I sat in my truck, hotspotted my cell phone, and I'm doing the abstracting that I do to look at it, while someone goes and walks the house, people are jumping out the window, because, you know, squatters, you know, they're running. And it was a minor's mortgage on that one, and sure enough, it was, I mean, no one bid on it at the sale.
Yeah.
So it's like, understand that it's a buyer beware situation, that you really need to know what you're getting into.
Yes, a minor's mortgage can be easy. Those prescribed when the minor becomes of age, or 4 years past the age of majority, so 22. So that would be research you could do behind the scenes. It's not something the sheriff's office is gonna do.
Well, so when this happens, when you're doing a private sale, the attorney has
Yes.
what's called a title opinion. The attorney's opinion of the title abstract. That's what they're not giving you here. They can't. They're not attorneys. They can't give you that attorney review. And so that opinion is what, in a normal closing, you would then start figuring out that curative work of how to solve the situation. Like, oh yeah, we can prescribe it. They can't give you that. So that's one of the big things here, where it's going to take a level of sophistication with some of these, that you want to be very careful, because that's also where you've seen people get burned.
Yep. I always suggest to people, especially new people that aren't as familiar with abstracting like Courtney is, or these seasoned guys that are doing their own stuff, to make friends with a title company.
Be willing to pay
Yes.
for an abstract.
Yes. And if you get on a good basis with them and you're sending them closings and stuff like that, I'm sure they can cut a deal with you to do a quick abstract and an opinion. What, 100 to 200 bucks? And that's just worth the peace of mind. You don't know if you're going to be the successful bidder at our sale, but to have that peace of mind might be best for you if you're still kind of uneasy about it.
Are there any title companies locally that have like a subscription service for everything going to auction? Hey, pay $100 a month, we'll send you everything that's coming up.
Not that I know
Why
of.
not?
It can be canceled all the way up until 10 a.m. at the sale,
Right.
or until it gets sold. There's so many that go to sell that don't actually sell.
Yeah, you saw our numbers. I mean,
Yeah.
I set 276.
I like where your
sold
head's at.
106.
It's
yeah, there's-
business opportunity here.
If we ever get to that 2012, 14, 16 level,
Yeah.
you might see title companies offering that.
as a service.
Yeah.
You mentioned, when you were talking about the cloud on the title and taxes around that time frame, you mentioned that there would be a cloud on the title because of unpaid taxes, but that you also then paid all the previous year taxes, not the current year.
Yes.
So there wouldn't be a cloud because of previous taxes if you're actually canceling and paying that, right?
No. So we will collect for delinquent taxes up until the previous 3 years, or anything that we can collect for. Okay? So a tax sale could have occurred 3 years before our sale, but still be in that redemption period. I will collect that. If my property tax department tells me, hey, there's a tax sale that's like 5 years old, and I'm not seeing a redemption, I'm not seeing a quick claim deed, but there's nothing I can't collect for it, because after the 3 year period, there's nothing the sheriff, you have to go to that tax sale buyer personally, and they kind of name their price at that point. At that point, I would notify you, hey, we ran the past 3 years, I'm collecting for anything that I can, but my property tax department said this.
Yeah.
And that's something that you're gonna have to research, okay?
Okay, but if that,
And that is a cloud on title.
so, and I get that, but would that not come up in what you're doing as far as the title research, and
The
would that
mortgage
not be a subject?
No,
to-
because property tax certificates are recorded in conveyance. I'm only running so there's two different records that the clerk's office keeps, a conveyance record and a mortgage record. Mortgage record's all your money liens, judgments, stuff like that. Your conveyance, all your cash sale, donations, any change of hand of properties or conveyance. They consider property tax a conveying document because it's transferring ownership interest. So those aren't recorded in the mortgage record, and I'll never see it on a mortgage.
So you're not going to see that on that mortgage certificate. That's their, what we like to say, hey, what's on the top, but it's not a
Yeah.
full abstract.
Right.
Full abstract with a title company is pulling everything, conveyance, mortgage, previous owners. I mean, they're looking at everything, civil records, if there was a divorce record with community property settlement, they're looking at all of it. Sheriff's office, we're running a mortgage certificate in the name of the current homeowner. It's just not enough to say you're gonna have clear title, and we just can't guarantee it.
So let's talk real quick about due diligence. These are all buyer beware. What do you guys say at the sale?
You own the property the moment, oh, that's one thing too. Hurricane season is right now, right? You own the property the moment the gavel hits. I don't know your name, I don't have your money, but you own it. Okay, so you're gonna fill out your paperwork, you're gonna give me your money. The next phone call you make when you leave my office is insurance. I've had seasoned investors get burned because they didn't buy insurance. I had one buy a condo, his pipe busted, flooded like 3 other units, and he did not have insurance. Okay, so Louisiana companies are very familiar. You're not going to have your sheriff's deed saying that you own it, but they know that ownership transfers at the moment of adjudication. We can provide that state statute for you if you're running into issues, but you really shouldn't. Insurance companies are fairly good with that.
Something that's really important with that is if it is occupied. There is a level. I was telling her, one of the ones that I took back, the guy was spiteful. I sent it through the foreclosure, I've sent it through their foreclosure office. The guy took he was vigilant. He stole stuff from the house, things like that, and did a little Bonnie and Clyde exit of the house. But the reality here is, I got off easy. It was just, light switches, handles for all the cabinets, the, fixtures, stuff like that. People do way worse. So if you're not insured, there's a level of that.
Mm-hmm.
If there's any recourse, if there's any...
Yes, you can press criminal charges because you own the house. So the only problem with that is coming into, well, can you prove the condition that you bought it in? We do offer a keep the peace service, our patrol division. We give you a non-emergency number. I always suggest people when you leave us, call insurance. Do that. Call the non-emergency number. Have a peacekeeping deputy come out, fully uniformed patrol guy or gal, and they'll walk to the house with you, knock on the door, introduce yourself. Hey, I just bought the house. What's your affiliation? Are you a tenant? Are you the owner? Like, what's the deal? Let's make a deal. The peacekeeping officer is going to be out there for 10 minutes max, usually, just to make sure that everything's okay, and then exit. If they're not there, leave a letter on the door. I've had people very successful with that, with your name and number. Hey, I need to talk to you. I just bought this house at sheriff's sale. Please contact me. Anything that makes it easier for you to avoid that eviction process, we like to see y'all doing. Okay? That eviction process, the sheriff's office does not like doing it, just like we don't like foreclosures, even though that's my favorite part of my job is the sale. But we don't like doing evictions. We don't like kicking people out. We don't like seeing people's stuff on the curb. But it is a sad reality for some people.
So we're talking due diligence here. So the insurance part's a really important part there. You need to know, this is where we're talking about real estate as a team sport. So again, like a lot of times too, if your insurance person's the type of person that needs to know what year the HVAC is, what year the roof is, I had to switch people because I was like, boo, I don't know. Like so many times when I buy a house, I'm like, I have no idea. But I need you to insure it. So it's like,
yeah,
you got to figure out someone who knows how to work with that, right? So you talked about the lender part, being able to get the capital to buy in these. Again, they're not going to, you generally can't go do that appraisal, that inspection. So you need to understand your buying power with these. As far as it's sight unseen, if it is on MLS, you're lucky. But other than that, what is your general line to buyers about access to the property?
Please use your common sense. Things that might appear vacant might not be vacant. You can end up with a squatter. You can have people that literally live in very deplorable situations, okay? So you're going to want to approach, use your common sense. If you do, I had one lady, bless her heart, she's my size, like 100 pounds soaking wet, and she would go knock on doors and people would let her in, and she'd go in these houses by herself. And look, she was like, oh, it's in the sanctuary, it was fine. If y'all are familiar with that neighborhood, it's a very nice neighborhood. There are crazies in the sanctuary too, people. Just saying. So, use your caution. St. Tammany, very conservative parish. A lot of us are gun owners. Even if I wasn't wearing a gun on my hip, I own guns. It's normal. People do that here. Use your common sense and caution. This is a high stress, high anxiety situation for people that are facing foreclosure. And then sometimes you get the tenant that has no idea. We try to go out there and make contact, and then sometimes people will put a tenant in there right before our sale. And they're like, what? We just paid first month's rent. We paid. So you never know what you're going to get. So just use your common sense. We do have a keep the peace service. I would not utilize it for pre-sale stuff. Definitely post-sale. Hey, I just bought from your auction. I need a deputy. And we definitely do that.
So the reason I'm talking about this is trespassing is against the law. So there's a level here that we want to say, do your due diligence, but use common sense.
You're not going to be arrested the first time. If you say, look, this is listed on the sheriff's sale. And
First time.
I was just, but if you keep going back, because it's happened, they'll arrest you.
And don't tell us that you did it.
Yeah.
I went to the mouse the other day.
Yeah.
Don't tell the
Oh,
sheriff
dang
that
it,
you
I
did
just
it.
walked right in. I'm like, oh, please stop
No,
talking.
you didn't.
So, yeah. And if you have cash and stuff, don't tell us it's weird money, whatever.
Can you, okay, so real quick, so you guys generally do the bank foreclosures. What are some other,
So, say you owe me $50,000. I go to the court, I sue her for the $50,000, I obtain a judgment. So not all of these are bank foreclosures. I obtain a judgment against Courtney for $50,000. I know she's got land or property that I can seize. I can take my judgment to the court and make it executory. Okay? I can say, hey, I've obtained this judgment. I want to seize her anything. At that point, I can seize wages, anything. We've sold toilet brushes before. Nothing is beneath us at the sheriff's office. Okay, we've sold horses.
Yeah.
We've sold all of it. Cows.
so,
Anything worth value. If somebody owes you money and you obtain a judgment against them in any court, you can then take it to the court of proper jurisdiction and say, hey, make this judgment executory, and you can seize. If it has value. We
and
sold
that's
toilet
subjective,
brushes.
it's subjective, value is subjective.
We seized a storage facility for somebody that was making homemade supplements, like the protein powders and stuff. I literally had to stand at the podium and say, 1 box of unknown powder. 3 boxes of red unknown powder.
We sold
Like-
a hotel across the street.
Yeah.
We had to list
Everything,
everything
the
that we were
pictures, the
selling in the
plans.
hotel.
Everything.
Oh, yeah.
So,
So,
first of all, let me say a few things, 'cause I want to get to your question here, but I'm also wanting to pull from her some really invaluable information. There's more than just residential, there's land, there's commercial.
movables,
Yeah, movables, cars,
boats.
boats, crotch rockets, whatever. Toilet brushes apparently. So, John Deere's, there's a lot of different things like that. So, one of the things here though is I have bought, when an HOA was foreclosing, free and clear property, never paid the HOA. The HOA bill got big enough, they decided to foreclose. So, and then I sent it through when I was a co-owner with someone, right? And it wasn't a business partner, it was,
Yeah, we do partition sales too.
yeah, it's a partition.
Mhm.
I don't recommend it. I bought someone out of their, I don't do it. I only, yeah, anyway. So long story short
If you're a
is,
co-ownership.
it could be the co-owner, it could be the heirs that are, one's forcing the sale of the other. That goes through their auction here. It could be someone who owns a tax deed with 1% ownership that does the partition. So there's so part of this I want you to say is the majority of what they do is the bank, but a portion of it is not. And that matters too, because what if it's the HOA, and again, subject to other stuff that's going on,
Right.
things like that. All right, you had a question back here?
Government buildings that get auctioned off, surplus buildings, are they subject to taxes too, in the appraisal process, or are they even
So
subject?
I don't do the surplus stuff or that auction.com. We do state land sales. So the state has in their inventory anything prior to 1970. I think the state, if anybody didn't buy it at the tax sale, it would adjudicate to the state. So the state has all these properties in their inventory from way back in the day. We do have a list, an active list of stuff, but the state didn't even guarantee like the accuracy of that list when they gave it to us. But anyway, we do have that list if you want it. But you would then have to contact the state office if there's something on that list you're interested in. The state office would send it to my office to public auction it. We don't run a mortgage certificate. I don't know anything about it except the state literally does everything. I just say sold.
$1.
So we do those sales too. Yes.
You said that the homeowner association liens were not collectible.
No.
How about IRS liens?
So IRS liens, as long as they're filed after the mortgage, we partially release them. They do have a window where they can come back and say, they have a redemption window, I guess is what you can call it, where they can come back and say, I want this property. The IRS has 120 days
What about HUD?
from date of sale, and HUD, because it's a federal entity, has a year, okay? I've never seen them do it. The feds only showed up in my office one time and they were super cool. They had badges and they were like, hey, I'm the IRS, cool. They would have to have enough equity in the house to satisfy your purchase price, plus their debt, realtor fees, and all this other stuff. So I've never seen them do it, but they do have the right to do it. Okay, so if you're buying something with an IRS lien or a HUD lien, if you're a flipper and you go to flip it, that might be an exception on your title policy to your new buyer, okay? So you're gonna have to make sure your buyer knows that that's gonna be an exception. I've never seen it be a problem, but that could be potentially an issue for you. Okay,
The
but if
biggest
you're-
thing here is to know what you're getting into.
Yes. And they will be indicated on our mortgage certificate. When you're looking at our mortgage certificate, it would say, mortgage granted by Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. Well, that's HUD. So now you know there's a year there. It would say tax lien filed by the Internal Revenue Service. Well, that's an IRS lien. Now I know I have 120 days. You know?
We would sell subject
So,
to the
and-
IRS if we don't have that.
Yes, so when there's an IRS lien, the foreclosing attorney is mandated by law to provide adequate notice to the IRS that the property is being foreclosed on. The attorney has to give me a copy of that adequate notice so I know that they've met the requirement. If for some reason they did not meet the requirement, I would sell subject to, and I would not cancel that lien, and you would know that because I would say that at the sale. I would say that that property is being sold subject to.
And it doesn't matter what exception it is on
Right.
your mortgage certificate.
I would tell you.
Let me make something very clear. If you haven't noticed, they're giving you an abundance of information. If you go to other parishes, you will not find this at all, which is, first of all, it's a huge part. Thankfully, I'm not having to bust them in. You know, it's thankfully down the street. But the reality here is, Stephen, you bought in Orleans. Talk to me about what she's information you get. If you had questions and you said, hey, is this subject to, is this,
You can't get a hold of anybody.
and they'd be like,
They're not even very helpful at the time of the auction. Jefferson Parish is okay, if you're the right person, because I've worked in both of them.
I'm not trying to talk down to these other parents.
No, I
I'm trying to
agree.
set your expectations. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Because the reality here is when I say they're the gold standard, like the fact that every single sale, Lindsay's like, you guys have any questions? Hey, these are being sold subject to, like trying to go above and beyond to help you. You will not find this any other parish. And so when you use this information, first of all, they have a really cool live to the moment website. Good luck. Every other parish, good luck. They might, if they're lucky to have a website, the question is it up to date?
What's that?
Yes, we paid a lot of money for our website. But yes, you're right. So every parish does do it a little differently. We have the 10% balance in 30 days on most of our files. We do have the 100%. Some parishes, like Jefferson, I believe, you have to have 100% day up.
They even collect the
And then,
subject twos.
I think in
They
St. Charles,
don't sell subject
yeah,
twos.
they collect for prior mortgages and stuff like that. We don't do that. I think St. Charles Parish, you have the full day to like come back and pay. Like you don't even have to put a deposit down. Like, oh, see you later. I'll come back if I want to. You know, every parish is different. Okay. We would love for the Sheriff's Association, the Louisiana Sheriff's Association, to get involved and make it more uniformed and have, you know, us be the, you know, like the, hey, this is how we're doing it because we do it this way, and it's great. But it's just, it's not going to happen. The law is always interpreted, you know, different ways, and some people still have their sales on the steps, which is kind of weird. But that used to be the law. You had to have it on the steps. But that's antiquated. We used to have to read the mortgage certificates. They changed the law as long as they're available online. I don't have to read that at my sale anymore. But these little podunk parishes, they still have to read it, bless them, because they don't have the website. You know, so everything is different. What I will say is that the majority of the feedback is like Courtney's. The question and answers, I will do question and answers before the sale. If nobody has questions, I just start talking. You could probably vouch for me, people that have been in the sale, oh, no questions, cool, I'll just talk. If you look new, I'm targeting you. After the sale, as soon as we conclude a sale, we'll do question and answers. We have business cards, we have emails, I mean, literally anything that we can do to
They're
help
interactive.
is what our goal is.
So-
So we want y'all to come back.
Right, you guys are their, you know, the customers, right, helping them sell these properties. Let me give you a few tips. We're starting to land the plane here. Sign up for their email, subscribe to their email. You can get those to your inbox. I want to encourage you to do that so you can at least start to see it. I've done it before. I'm like, hey, I know that person, right? And like, hey, let me go make a phone. You know, I work a lot of pre-foreclosures before they head to the auction, but it's one of those things. So then the other thing here is you guys have a sale tomorrow morning at
Tomorrow morning,
10 a.m.
10 a.m. We'll open the doors about 9:15. We have 8 currently, but like Courtney explained and I explained, they can cancel. So we had one sale. We showed up, everything canceled except for one sale.
Yeah.
I was like, this is terrible. Like, it's such a waste of resources. But here we are with our
So-
lineup.
We have 7
This is
tomorrow.
seven, well, as of right now, 7 tomorrow. So, here's one of the things, I generally am not the big, like, so I personally have only ever bought one property through here. I was the foreclosing party. It was a little bit different situation. I don't have I don't have the balls to buy a lot of these sight unseen. I'm a lot more conservative. So number one, I'm trying to drill down that buyer beware part, right? But the reality here is, because they're gonna do their best to take the right photo. Has the photo been wrong?
Oh, we've had some, yes. So the municipal address, we use what the attorney gives us, but the legal description is what trumps. So you're gonna look at that legal description, you're gonna compare it to the assessor's website. The assessor's website's really cool. They have a GIS parcel viewer, and you can zoom in, like Google Maps, it's really cool.
But it can also be
And
wrong.
I'm not affiliated with the assessor's office, but it's super cool. But yeah, so the legal description is what's gonna trump on those. We do our best, like we had one, the attorney told us to seize 126 Ned Avenue and slide out. Our deputy gets out there, he's like, there is no 126, I have a 128, are we sure? So we make some phone calls, the assessor's like, oh, you're right, it's 128, we had it plugged in wrong.
Yeah.
So we try our best to figure these things out, but we cannot guarantee it. We try and try and try our best, but we cannot guarantee it, okay? We've had phone calls, hey, you have this house on the, but, you know, and then at that point, but we think it's this house, we'll send a supervisor out there and we'll try to, yeah, and we'll ask the attorney, hey, send us maps, we'll investigate further before we move forward. And if anything stands out to us, we definitely will make that announcement at our sale.
Yeah, after one of the storms, we went back and retook pictures.
Anything that was active in our office after Ida,
we
we
went
went back out and we
updated all of our
updated
pictures.
because we wanted to know if trees were down. So we do try to actively let y'all know, even though it's technically your job to know what you're buying, but people surprisingly just buy stuff without seeing it.
Like
But,
sometimes Ned Avenue is a red Mercedes.
Right.
But we seized a
You
car.
No, it was properly on their end, but that
Yeah.
person.
We seized a car one time, and when I got the picture from the deputy, I called the bank, and I was like, I don't think we want to sell this Dodge Charger that was an accordion. It was
Like
like
literally
smashed.
punched.
Nope, we need to sell it. I'm like, do you realize that
Yeah. If the house
nobody's buying
has
this?
any damage, like the deputy will try to do their best to like walk around a property if it's accessible. We had one, the whole back of the house was burnt down. You would have never known it from the front of the house. You're like, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful
I know the
house.
exact one.
You walk around the back and it's freaking gone. Like the whole house is gone.
Yeah.
So our deputies do try to do their best.
And I'll make comments like with the car wrecked.
And if we have
Whatever.
multiple
We make-
photos, they'll all be available online. You can toggle through. If
Yeah.
we take 10 photos, there'll be 10 photos there.
So a few things, because we're landing the plane here. Due diligence, buyer beware. I go to the auction still very frequently. Number one, I go network there, right? But the other part there is I go there to observe what the bank and buyers are doing. For the last while, I have a file in my office. It's for me, it's data. It's one part of my market research. I have files in my office of, because you can go there, you get a packet. That's a list. It's a printout list of all the properties for sale. And if it got canceled that morning, it says canceled through it, right? And I'll go out there and I'll write, what it sold for. Did it sell to a third party or to the bank? Because the bank will be there bidding on their behalf, right? And so I'm documenting that. A few weeks ago, probably 2 months ago now, was the first time that I had seen where the bank didn't win any of them.
Mm-hmm. We've had a lot of investor participation. So out of 8 sales, I'll have 6 go to third parties. It's been very high. We have some investors that are turn and burn. We have some investors that are burn. We have a little bit of everything. But we do have a high participation rate.
So, and there's people who go there, buy for their primary residence, they go buy development properties, there's various different things. My point is, I want to encourage you, if you've never been, tomorrow at 10 a.m. the courthouse, you guys go. I won't be there tomorrow, but most of the time I usually am there. Do you guys have any questions you ask for people? If they answer it, I will give away a book, or no?
All right.
I know, you
See
see,
if
this
you
is
were
exactly
paying
what happened to
attention.
me, right?
What does tentative mean?
They know why. That is like it is like every time somebody asks, it's like you develop like a twitch.
Raise your hand if you have an answer.
It may get canceled.
Nope.
No.
Don't buy it.
It's not active.
Ain't there, it's not real.
You're a winner. It's not active. It's in my office. I just have not set it for sale yet. Okay?
We are waiting for something.
Yes.
Mortgage certificate.
Money, some service. It could be anything. I'm just waiting on something to actually set it for sale, but it is in my office. It's just not there.
Not
Still going through the process.
Yes.
All right, good.
All right.
All right. What does subject to mean?
Selling a mortgage, or you buy a mortgage from a police you buying, pretty much you're taking over a mortgage from someone.
So no, I appreciate that. That is the normal subject too. That's how I buy houses, where I buy and I take over the existing mortgage. But this is different. What was that? There's a superior lien against it. Do you want to take that? We'll
Yes,
take that.
there's a superior lien against it that you as the buyer would be responsible for on top of your purchase price. That the sheriff's office cannot get involved with helping you solve. We'd love to, but even after this, so a lot of people have this misconception that the mortgage company, if they're owed $150,000 and I sell a house for $200,000, that they get this $50,000 surplus. That is incorrect. They have to tell me what they're owed. They have to provide an affidavit, a sworn affidavit of what they're owed, and they can only collect to that penny. So I write them a check. Any surplus I have, I go down that mortgage certificate. Any lien, HOAs sometimes get paid, credit card judgments, second mortgages. You would be surprised. I send all these people a letter saying, hey, I have money, and nobody wants the money. Nobody responds to me, or they say, we can't talk to you. You're not on the loan. Okay, I have $50,000 with your name on it. But no, you'll be surprised. So then I just deposit it to the registry of the court. And then there's people, too, investors that are trying to finagle like different ways to make money. They want to do what's called a finder's fee. We don't have a list of the properties that I have registry funds for. That's something that you could track after our sale maybe on our website, but we do notify people, even the homeowner that I have. Now, they will contact me. They want their money.
Is that done in priority or pro-rata?
Priority. So Louisiana law is it's called ranking of liens. It's by recorded date. So I have to go down the mortgage certificate and order. So if there's 5 junior liens, I have to wait for the first one to respond. The HOA is usually last on the list and they're the first to respond. Every time. I can't cut them a check until I pay 1, 2, 3, 4.
So they're usually retired and have nothing better to do.
So people are always like, hey, can I be that finder? Yes, but the sheriff's office pays me to be the finder, and I send letters out,
Yeah.
but I don't do extra research. Like, if nobody responds to me, and you want to do that extra research and like actually physically find somebody, great, more power to you. But I send letters.
So you want a serious or fun question?
Fun.
All right, you gotta raise your hand for this one. What did a realtor mistakenly buy for their client?
Red Mercedes.
A red Mercedes.
Yeah.
And look, I'm sorry, you can't pick from books, it's just the one that.
I've got one last question.
Yes.
If I had y'all's business card, would you get me out of a ticket?
So, fun fact, when we were at the horse arena selling properties, we had these nifty little fans made, and it had like the sheriff's badge and stuff on them, and it was dual acting, right? Because when you come to our sale in the courthouse, it's so informal. I'm so disappointed we don't have paddles and like, it's just like shout your bid and we'll. But at the horse arena, we had these fans because it's freaking hot outside in the summer, especially in this get. So you're fanning yourself, but it was dual act. So somebody's like, man, on the way home at speed, I'm just gonna flash my. And I'm like, I'm gonna smack you with it. That's the dumbest thing. But yeah, so we used to give those out. We still have a surplus of those in the office. We can bring them to the sale tomorrow.
Good, you'll give them to us if we were here.
But yeah.
Give me
And we
some.
have badge stickers too that we give kids. I can bring those too. Those are cool.
All right, guys, so first of all, Robin and Lindsay, thank you guys so much for coming after hours. Obviously, I know you mentioned that this is, you guys are a little bit slower right now. There's a lot going on with forbearances. We don't know what the next few months will be. Tell me this, any final thoughts that you have for the investors that you want to leave with them, each of you?
Yes, come to our sale. If you're the slight bit interested in purchasing, I always suggest coming to a few sales, get familiar with it, really get your bearings before you just start. And people get excited, they just, get out there and just start bidding. And I suggest coming and familiarizing yourself with it and really being comfortable with it before you take that plunge into doing it. You'll hear the same information I said today. It's like a broken record. Y'all can vouch every sale. It's the same thing. And when I first started in real estate, I worked downtown at a law firm and I did title curative work. And I swear people spoke Chinese for like the first 6 months. We'd sit staff meetings and the attorney would be like, anybody have questions? Yes, what's a minute notice? I don't even know if I said that right. Like, you know, and so after 6 months, it's like a light bulb went off. And this is kind of the same thing. It's a lot of information that you're retaining. You're talking super liens and all this other stuff. And I don't expect you to get it on the first go, okay? And the more that I say it, hopefully you'll retain it. We are here to help you. So ask the questions. I don't care if it's the 20th time asking. I got kids, I'm used to it, okay? Just be comfortable.
Robin, what about you?
I'd say come and watch a sale first before you, if you're new to it, because you don't want to come in, everything is sold as is. So, you know, we don't know if it has a leaky roof or if it's damaged on the inside. It's best to come and watch and understand the process
Talk to
before.
other people.
You know, we have a lot of third-party regulars that come, and new people will get together with them, and they'll kind of get together, and then they kind of see them sitting together at the next sale, and
And a lot of people are friendly. They're willing to network and share information. And
Some of
how
them are
they're
not.
doing it. Some of them are not.
They're like,
But most of them are. Hopefully I'll rub off on a few people.
Yeah, we've had people
But-
that say Lindsay bought a house at a sale, and then Courtney says, but I really wanted that house.
They
They'll get
literally
together
Sell it.
and
Make
sell
a
it to
deal
each other in the hallway.
before I even get paperwork. Like it's, so come, watch, look, learn. And even if you've been to a year's worth of our sale, I can promise you there's always going to be something that happens that you're going to say, what? And
Like
you'll
the
see
woman-
my face that goes, what? We had a woman run in one
I
time,
was
no
there for
shoes.
that.
You were there for that?
Yeah.
No shoes, no bra, no teeth. Oh,
Yeah. It was like one of these.
yes! And I was like, my
They were
face.
like this.
Same sale, we foreclosed on an attorney and her son were there like, he was dressed
Yes.
like a Columbine
That was a
shooter
condo.
with a freaking sign that said, you're buying a house, talk to me. I'm like, okay. Like that
was
whole
bullshit.
sale
Yes.
was so, I got a fit of the giggles after the lady ran in and I couldn't even finish reading. I was like, tag, you're it. I'm out. So there's always something that happens that you're like, we had one investor who's like, I was waiting for the camera to come out, like, you know, you're on candid camera. Crazy. But seriously, all joking aside, those incidents are rare and few between. But the main thing is you will see something like a no bid, no sale or something that comes up that you're like, whoa, never saw that before.
Or you'll see properties again and again.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier, there was one that we both knew because it was for years, kept coming around to the sale. And the guy came and he bought my last primary residence. I said, full disclosure to you, I know exactly who you are.
Right.
And it's my job to know who you are because it's my job to know, you know, the foreclosures, the pre-foreclosures in our area. It's what I do. I play in public records all day long. And I mean, he had a very long file, but then the second part of that is a unique name. So.
Yeah.
Well, look, guys, I hope you got a lot of information out of this. It is recorded, so we're going to put it on the YouTube channel probably by the end of this week because some of you may say, I want to rewatch this, right? I want to encourage you tomorrow at 10 a.m. at the courthouse in Covington. Check it out. Come and get their business cards. Like I said, they're very proactive, very customer
It's only
service.
my business
Business card.
I can write the number on
She
it.
can autograph hers.
I ran out of law.
But guys, hey, so I do want to respect their time because they're here after a very long, you guys were in the office today, long day. There's a level, if you have questions for them, I would encourage you to get their card and talk to them on Thursday. Do you remember the rule of thumb, Wednesdays, call on Thursdays, the week of the sale. But here is the one with the phone numbers. I want to encourage you to do that because I want to get them home to their families. If you guys want to network with other people in the room, I'm going to encourage you to come to Chimes because we're going to spend maybe 5 minutes in here talking, but then I will start packing up and flicking the lights. I would love for you guys to join us at Chimes where we talk shop. And lastly, see you guys back here on the 8th of next month where we're going to do that lender panel. And then Courtney10k.com, top left link is upcoming events, top right is the YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much. Have a great one.